one of the, nowadays you would call him an influencer. Andrew Ng is an influencer in machine learning and AI. So this Andrew Ng quoted, "Artificial intelligence is the new electricity." And similar to electricity, kind of caused a revolution. The electrification some 100 years ago kind of brightened up our planet. It changed almost all industries. I don't know any aspect of my everyday life where electricity doesn't play a role. Okay? And similar to that, to electricity, this new electricity called artificial intelligence now starts to transform one industry after the other. And it already fuels many new things. For example, when you're anywhere, I'm traveling a lot to conferences or visiting other groups around Europe. So when I want to find out where's the next shopping center, I just ask Google. One of the most spooky experiences I had with my personal assistant Google, I wanted to watch a movie recently with my wife, and I knew basically the plot. So I knew there was a guy whose wife was kidnapped, but the guy didn't want her back. And I just entered this plot into Google, and it spit out the movie. Okay? It's amazing. Where else? So grammar and spell checkers. There's this app called Grammarly, which works amazing. So it turns you into a professional writer. You make no spelling errors or Grammarly or kind of inconsistency, lack of inconsistency. You don't have anymore if you use this app. So in text or natural language processing, this AI really changed the game. Then in real-time translation, when I came here 3 years ago, I'm from Austria, I don't speak any Finnish, not much more in the meanwhile. I had to fight, or I had to organize my tax card. So I had to cope with tax forms, and I just used this app called Google Translate to hold the camera of my phone over this form, and it translated it online from Finnish to German, and I got along well. So I hope I think my taxes are now calculated correctly. Yeah, I don't need any Finnish anymore. For one reason, because everybody is speaking English here, but also with this Google Translate app, every sign or every writing in Finnish, I just have a look with my phone, and it translates it almost perfectly into my favorite language. Yeah. And as I pointed out, machine learning techniques is kind of the electrical engineering for this new AI. And as a coincidence, I was originally trained as an electrical engineer for the electricity in the old sense. But now I'm working on the new electricity, AI. So what you learn here is basically electrical engineering methods for AI. Because intelligence typically involves learning. And also artificial intelligence involves learning, and it's called machine learning. So what is machine learning? It kind of, in some sense, aims to learn or to automate the process to answer questions. A machine learning method tries to gain so much knowledge to answer basic questions. So what do I mean with that? For example, imagine you are Prime Minister of Finland, or you are a policymaker, part of the government, and have to decide the tax policy. Should we raise taxes? Which taxes? Should we raise the unemployment benefits? Should we lower it in order to make Finland more successful in the future? And to answer this question, we typically look at data. We look at the historic records of unemployment rate, of GDP. We look at data from other countries. We look at what other countries did and what effect it had on the economy, or we should, in my naive opinion. Or we can look at data from geology. Maybe there are some hidden oil reservoirs in the north of Finland. So maybe it would be good to keep a good oil industry. Stuff like this. Another question. How many apples are on the tree? So this is an apple tree in my home country in Austria. We had a lot of apples, like in Finland, this year. And is it possible, just from looking at this picture, how many apples are there? Machine learning methods can do it. Humans, I could not do it, at least in less than 5 seconds. Another relevant question, which is important to answer nowadays, when you look at an article, so here about dinosaurs and Nazis and teaming up, is this fake news? So machine learning methods allow to answer the question if a given text or an article is fake or not. And you will learn methods that allow you to build fake news detectors. Okay. I have been recently asked to collaborate with a team of engineers from Turku and from VTT, the Finnish research agency. They are interested in applying machine learning and AI to reduce the emissions of diesels. So they want to learn, the question here is, when to inject fuel and how much fuel and what composition, how much air, what is the optimal composition of the fuel mixture that I pump into the cylinder. And it turns out that using machine learning, you can learn optimal timing patterns. Yeah, a more everyday question, which I bumped into yesterday. I just moved to a new place in Finland, Helsinki, and there's a new, now using another shopping center, and where's the honey? So it took me 2 or 3 minutes to find the honey, and they would like to have an app which I ask, where is the honey? Is there something like this? Does anybody know? You can ask Google Maps, where's the next metro station? But I think Google Maps doesn't tell you if you're in an S market, at a particular S market, where's the honey? Okay. Another situation of my everyday life where machine learning comes in handy. I listen to a lot of music, and kind of sometimes it's already spooky that this YouTube kind of suggests new songs which I never heard before and which I didn't know that I would like to hear it until it's suggested. So you can use machine learning to predict what would be the next song that you would like, that you would have loved to listen. And this is already used also in music therapy, in psychotherapy, and it turns out that choosing the right music can have similar effects on your brain chemistry as medication. And we will have one researcher from neuroscience, Professor Minna Huutilainen, giving a guest talk later on in this course. She will talk about how she uses machine learning in her research. Yeah. Then I'm currently, since recently, involved in a collaboration with Royal Caribbean Cruises. It's a big cruising company, and they're interested in kind of finding out the preferences, or they want a recommendation system. They want to know when you enter the cruise ship, they basically want to know everything about you. Which food would you like? Would you like to have a pizza or a schnitzel on the next day? This is important to know for them because they have a lot of food waste. They prepare a lot of food which they don't use, which they have to throw away. Okay? And they would also like to know what kind of lighting or ambiente you would like to have in your cabin, more green or more violet. Yeah, and this is one of the most spookiest applications. What are the laws, what are basic laws of physics, or what are the laws of motion, just by looking at data? For example, I have here one of my junior assistants, Leander, producing a video. And imagine there's an AI looking at this, like an artificial Isaac Newton, watching at a lot of apples falling down from the tree and spitting out the laws of motion. This might sound science fiction, but to some extent it is done already by in material design. So they don't, at some point, they don't rely too much anymore on physical laws, but just on insights from data they got. So models they learned from using machine learning. Okay. Any questions up to here? Okay, then I suggest we have a 10-minute break, And I continue then starting with actual material. So we start to formalize a machine learning problem.